everyone, welcome to LexTalk, World Talk Show presented by ClickAway Creators. Today we have Mr. Saifullah Khan with us. Saifullah is an international trade, IT and policy lawyer with 20 years experience in international trade policy and law advisory, serving large client base in the domestic and international market. He is very successful and renowned anti-dumping lawyer, not only in Pakistan but in various jurisdictions because of his rich experience and expertise in trade defense laws of the WTO. Mr. Khan has been writing and presenting papers on the subjects relating to international trade laws, competition law, dispute settlement, preferential trade agreements, data protection, and e-commerce, including trade and services too. For keeping himself up to date with respect to development of trade and other related policies, Mr. Khan did an executive education program on mastering trade policy from Howard Kennedy School, Boston, USA. He is an advocate of the High Court, a fellow member of the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Pakistan, and a member of Chartered Institution of Arbitrators, UK. So without any further ado, let me just introduce to Mr. Khan himself. Hello, Saifullah, how are you?
Hi, hello Bharti, how are you? Thank you very much for a very nice introduction.
I am good. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you here, Mr. Khan. So before we dive into your specialization and we ask you some other questions, tell us about your firm, also about your practice areas in brief, and the countries that you have rendered professional services in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bharti. Actually, our firm was established in 2004, and we provide a wide variety of services, a large scope of services, including international trade laws, and basically the trade remedy laws of the WTO, which includes anti-dumping, subsidies and countervailing measures, and safeguards. And then we do competition law services advisory. We do taxation, corporate law. We do IT laws like cybersecurity, e-commerce, and mergers and acquisitions, dispute settlement. So these are major service areas of our firm based in Islamabad, Pakistan. In addition to providing the services to our local and large number of international clients for the last more than 16 years now, we also do legislative work in close coordination with the government of Pakistan with different departments. Like in 2015, these trade remedy laws in Pakistan were revised and revamped. And I was part of the Ministry of Commerce working group. And we worked as a group of a few lawyers from private sector and from the government sector. And we revised all these three anti-dumping, countervailing duties and safeguard regulations and laws. We revised all these laws. So I was part of that team, that legislative process. Then for the last 2 years, I have been involved with the Federal Board of Revenue, where we are in the process of getting a new law of national single window. You know, Pakistan being part of the WTO, we have also ratified the trade facilitation agreement of the WTO. And so after doing that, we have to have our new legislation in Pakistan properly implemented by 2020. So the government of Pakistan is in the process of getting a new legislation, National Single Window Act. And I was the chairman of that working group on laws and regulations. So I've been working very closely with the federal government, the Federal Board of Revenue, which is the revenue collecting authority in Pakistan. So that is another example of our legislative work. And currently, at present, we are working now again in the personal data protection law. That is at the bill stage. And we are working with the Ministry of Information Technology and Telecom. That is a relevant ministry. So in addition to providing, what I'm telling you is that in addition to providing professional services, professional legal advice services to a large number of companies in Pakistan, which are huge companies, big groups, a large number of companies outside Pakistan, we do a lot of legislative work also with the government of Pakistan, with different government departments. In addition to working with the private sector and the public sector, we have worked with international organizations also a lot. There was e-commerce week in Geneva and 2 years ago, where I worked with UNCTAD, United Nations Commission on Trade and Development. I was part of the panelist in 5 different sessions, and we co-hosted one of the sessions with the UNCTAD in Geneva, and that was on public-private dialogue to drive e-commerce. So our firm and myself, I was very active in during that session the whole week, and we have presented Pakistani point of view. We have learned from international perspective, and that was really a very good opportunity. Then I was offered. I was invited to Hanzu Forum by UNCFAT, which is United Nations Center on Trade Facilitation and Economic Electronic Business, and I went to Hangzhou on the invitation of UNCFAT, and I presented a presentation on legal issues on e-commerce. So we work closely with international organizations as well, like UNCTAD, UNCFAT. I did research studies for ITC Geneva. So this is our whole background and history that we work with private sector, public sector, and international organizations as well. For the countries concerned, I would say Bharti, I have traveled a lot extensively in China for work, more than 35 times in the last 15 years. I have seen half of China, traveled through train and by air. I have traveled a lot in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, South Korea, UAE, Hong Kong. And we have clients in US, in UK, Brazil, and other parts of Europe. So this is our client base and our experience and our exposure.
Thank you so much for answering that question, Mr. Khan. At the same time, I wanted to just, ask you about your most memorable transaction because you've been in the industry for, quite some time now, if I can put that. So tell us about your most memorable transaction, and also there is a key takeaway from every case that you take up, right? Every case that you always go for. But particular key takeaways from that particular memorable case.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question indeed. Actually, it goes to the very roots of commencing and establishing my own business, actually, my own firm in 2004. Anti-dumping law actually was promulgated in Pakistan in 2000. And at that time, the practitioners and even the beneficiaries, the domestic industry, they were not very much aware about this new law. And even the practitioners, the consultants, the lawyers, they were not ready to add this new legislation into their advisory services or into their service offerings. So I took the lead at that time, and I did a lot of study, research. Obviously, studied law many times. I did a lot of research on anti-dumping subject, and then at that time I decided that I have to create my own niche on anti-dumping in Pakistan. And frankly speaking, I did not get a lot of encouragement, only other than my family, people all around, my friends, my seniors, my colleagues in my profession. They discouraged me. They said that, Saifullah, people in US create their niche. In Pakistan, this is Pakistan. You cannot create niche. So just stick to your regular service areas and try to explore more and more into your regular service areas, and have your growth path in your regular service areas. You cannot create niche in Pakistan. It's not you and United States of America. But I kept my nerves, and I said, no, I have to do it. I stick to my plan, and I started offering presentations to different business associations and companies all across Pakistan. And finally, after a lot of efforts, I got first client, and then I served that client with all, with all my attention. I gave them 100% of the time. We prepared their case, anti-dumping application. We filed it before the executive authority in Pakistan. The case was initiated. Anti-dumping duties were imposed. And once the duties were imposed, the company, that industry was so happy to take an additional benefit, because when anti-dumping duties are imposed, actually it is an additional benefit to the producer because it is imposed over and above the custom duties. So the local producer get more breathing space, a large space to get expand their business in Pakistan. They can sell more, they can produce more, they can charge more price. So with imposition of that anti-dumping duty, my client was happy. They referred me to many other companies. And the major, if you ask me, the takeaways were, um, keep your goals high, and don't give up. Faithfully provide services to your clients, and finally provide services to your client as business partners rather than just merely a service provider. I have been telling my clients that I'm your business partner. I'm not your service provider only, because I'm helping you grow your business, and your growth is my business in reverse. So the bottom line is, the takeaway is, you have to change your approach of providing services, and have long-term goals. Keep faith in yourself, and keep your spirits high. And if you work hard, try to create your own niche. I think you can create your own niche in any part of the world.
Well said, Mr. Khan, and truly inspiring for our audience as well. So let's dive deeper into your specialization, and we would also like to know about your opinion on different things and different topics that are going in the legal space. So, how do you look at competition and antitrust law for this particular year? Because a lot has changed in past 1 year, to be precise, in just exactly past 1 year, a lot has changed. So we'll not go 10 years, 15 years down the line, but according to you, how do you look at the competition and antitrust law in 2021, and how do you think it's going to change in coming time?
Yes, what I believe is, I can tell you, starting from Pakistan, what we have seen in Pakistan during the last few months, after July 2020 till now, we have seen there is an increase in number of competition cases in Pakistan. The competition authority has become more vigilant and more active. We have seen a lot of cases now in deceptive marketing, in cartels, in abuse of dominant position, even in mergers and acquisition. There are a number of cases growing. And I believe we will see natural growth across the globe, because due to COVID-19, we know that economic slowdown was seen everywhere across the board. And now things are opening up. Businesses are again coming back on track. So with the natural, with the natural coming back of the business to the normal, there will be more and more economic activity. And I think we will see much more cases on the competition law preview as well in the near future. Not only in Pakistan, but we can see that we will see cases across the globe. And we have been observing such an increase in Pakistan, and even in different parts of the world. I have seen a lot of cases.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Khan, for answering that question and sharing your most memorable case and the key takeaways with us. Now, when we talk about your specialization, how do you look at competition and antitrust law in 2021, and how do you think it's going to change 5 years down the line? Also, I know that I might be asking too much of you by asking how is it going to change 5 years down the line, since a lot has changed in just 1 year, but just your views about it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bharti. Actually, let me start by saying that the Pakistani law of competition law, it was promulgated in 2010, and the Pakistani competition law is in line with the competition and antitrust model law of ICN, International Competition Network. So it's quite common with the other jurisdiction. It's more or less, the basic principles are obviously the same. And the authority in Pakistan, which is the competition authority, that is administering this law in Pakistan. As far as the number of cases are concerned, I can tell you that in Pakistan, definitely during the last 6 to 8 months, we have seen a rise in the number of cases in competition law preview. We have seen more cases on deceptive marketing practices and cartels, even in mergers and acquisitions. So the trend is increasing in Pakistan and globally. I have seen a number of updates about European Commission and other jurisdictions, that the cases are growing there as well in competition law. And I think the reason is quite obvious. With the pandemic affecting the economic growth globally, things were slowed down, businesses were slowed down, even closed for a few weeks and months. Once now the things are opening up, with the gradual acceleration of business activity around the globe, there is a natural, phenomena. There is a natural appetite for for more competition law cases across the globe. So I would see more and more cases in the different segments of competition law, and we might see much larger change in mergers and acquisition, because due to pandemic, smaller firms, they have closed down, or some of the smaller firms, they have decided to now merge with the bigger ones. So there might be more cases in mergers and acquisition front first, and then in the next 4 or 5 years you might see more abuse of dominant position, because by mergers and acquisition, few companies will be in a dominant position in the next few years. And if they abuse that dominant position, their monopoly power, in other words, then the international competition authorities, the competition authorities in different countries, they will come into play, and they will have an important role to play and curtail this kind of unfair practice of lessening the competition in the particular jurisdiction first, and then in the global jurisdiction level. So I think I see more increase in the competition cases in the next 4 to 5 years at least.
Thank you so much yet again, Mr. Khan. At the same time, when we are, talking about your specializations, please brief us about what services you can offer in relation to anti-dumping measures and how your services may be beneficial to your clients.
Yeah.
Also, with that, how do you foresee global trends concerning anti-dumping measures in view of the global economic trends?
Okay. First, I'll let you know the scope of services in
Yes,
anti-dumping.
absolutely.
What, yeah, how,
Absolutely.
what kind of services we provide for the domestic industry in Pakistan, or for the domestic industry in any country, in any jurisdiction. We are also offering services in UAE. We have one office in Dubai, so we are also offering services of anti-dumping in GCC region as well. So for the domestic industry, either in Pakistan or GCC or any other country, what we have been doing in Pakistan is we provide kind of different services to the domestic producers. One is if they feel that dumping into Pakistan is injuring their domestic industry, then we prepare an anti-dumping application on behalf of that domestic industry. We file it with the Anti-Dumping Authority in Pakistan, which is the National Tariff Commission, and they initiate the anti-dumping investigation. And when they impose, if they impose and when they impose anti-dumping duty, that is the first benefit for the domestic industry. They get more space in the domestic market to expand their business. Now, for the same domestic industry, for the same company, you can say, or the industry, we provide another service of protecting their interest if anti-dumping investigation has been initiated by that industry or company, against that industry or against that company, by some foreign investigating authority. For example, if European Commission has initiated anti-dumping investigation against exporters from Pakistan, so that domestic producer is our client. So we assist them. We assist them in filling up the whole questionnaire, completing the requirements of the European authority or any foreign authority. We did a lot of cases for Canada, Europe, for Pakistani producers and exporters. And when we represent them before the foreign investigating authority till the conclusion of the investigations. So this is one set of services for the domestic industry. Now, if in an anti-dumping investigation initiated by the Pakistani authority, if we are not the applicant, or we are not working for the applicant, then we serve the foreign exporters to protect their business interest in that anti-dumping investigation initiated by Pakistan. And we have been working for a lot of companies in China and Thailand and South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia. So we help them fill up their questionnaire properly, completing all the legal and technical requirements of the Pakistani Anti-Dumping Authority, and we represent them before hearings and other formalities till the end conclusion of the investigation. So we have a different set of services for our foreign clients and a different set of services for the domestic clients with respect to anti-dumping investigation. What was the second part of your question?
It was about how do you foresee global trends concerning
Yeah,
anti-dumping measures,
yeah,
actually the view of the global economic trends.
yeah. Again, I would say I have seen recently there is a huge increase in anti-dumping investigations across the globe, and I think reason is again the same. Post COVID, now people are the companies actually are trying to expand their business, or even they want to make sales which they have been doing pre-COVID condition. So they have to sell in any jurisdiction in any country at whatever price they get. So dumping investigations are on the rise, and I think there are certain reasons to it, because once your business is closed down for a certain period of time, and then you are back on track again. So you need to break even. You need to at least break even in the near future if you are not able to earn profits. So more production means you have more sales, and more production means lesser cost of production. So there is no other way out than to produce in the large scale and then sell at a large scale. Under such a condition, I think it's a very normal scenario to see anti-dumping investigation growing in every jurisdiction, and this is one condition. And the second reason, I think, is global economic nationalism. It's a new term, economic nationalism, and this has been observed in different jurisdictions. You have seen trade war between two big giants, and now the every other country is trying to have tariff or non-tariff barriers to protect their own domestic industry. So under certain these kind of conditions, I think anti-dumping cases are going to rise for sure.
Mr. Khan, as you have mentioned about personal data protection law, so when you were actually, answering me about the anti-dumping measures, so I was just thinking about it that as you've mentioned about the personal data protection law already, would you also brief us about what exactly is it about, and if you can, lend some information and knowledge to our audience as well,
uh,
if it will
yeah,
not take too much of your time.
yeah. Yeah, sure, Bharti. Why not? Why not? This is really a very, very interesting subject now, personal data protection. And you know that in 2018, this regulation was introduced in Europe as a GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. In Pakistan, personal data protection bill is on a draft stage, and it is in line with the GDPR. The principles are same, and mostly the things are provisions are quite common with GDPR. And once the cabinet approves this bill, it will be put before the parliament. And once it is approved by the parliament, it will be an act. The act, and then obviously it will be promulgated, and it will have implications for doing business in Pakistan and even across. This law is extraterritorial jurisdiction. Actually, it does not only apply to natural person in Pakistan, but it applies to even natural person who are outside Pakistan. This law has three basic principles, three basic definitions. The first is the natural person, who is the subject matter. Actually, it is called in the legal term subject matter, and subject matter has to be a natural person. And then there is a term of data processor and data controller. So data controller is more important. Data controller is could be a natural person or a government authority or a private company as well, who takes decision to collect the data of natural person for a particular purpose of processing. Now, the data controller has a lot of obligations under this new proposed bill in Pakistan, the General Data Protection Law. And even in the GDPR, the data controller and the data processors have a lot of obligations, because if they are collecting and processing the data of a natural person, an individual, they have to tell that individual, they have to take the consent of that individual, that we are collecting your information, we need your permission, because we are going to process this information for this lawful purpose. And then we are not going to share this. You have to tell that natural person that you are not going to share this with any third party, and if you want to share with third party, you have to get the consent again. And you have to tell that natural person that you will have a proper security systems, the measurements, which is a requirement under the law, so that that data which is collected for a natural person, it should not be breached. So this law has a great is going to have a great significant impact on businesses in not only in Pakistan, in globally, in different parts of the world. And this law is applicable even if only three of one of the three are in Pakistan, either the data subject in Pakistan, data controller in Pakistan, or data processor in Pakistan, this law of Pakistan will apply in all this kind of a situation. So there is a legal right for the data subject, which is a natural person, and then there are certain obligations for the data controller and data processor. Recently, we had one session with Legal 500 on the personal data protection bill, and I tell you honestly, um, there was a very good participation from public sector in Pakistan as well. The private sector were there, obviously, but from the public sector, we have observed a very good participation on the webinar. The reason being, the public sector companies would be the data controllers, because they collect information of individuals, so they need to know what their liabilities and obligations would be. I'm just giving you a simple example. In hospitality industry, the hotels, they collect your personal information when you check in the hotel. They collect your passport and your all personal details. So they need to tell you that they need your consent, and they need to tell you for the purpose which they will be using your data, and that will have to be a lawful purpose, limited purpose. Then there will be a time frame given in the law that they have to just delete the data from their systems. Again, the medical sector, the hospitals, they collect your information. Mobile companies, they collect your personal information. The banks, they collect your personal information. So it has a vast, and it has a huge implication on different business sectors. So once this law is promulgated, I think it will change the business dynamics in a big way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan, yet again for answering all the questions in the best way possible. And thank you for sharing such great insights and your knowledge with us. We really look forward to having a chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the international legal industry. Before I actually let you go, is there anything that you would like to convey to our budding lawyers?
Yes, I would say, as I have already mentioned earlier while responding to your first question, that keep your goals high, please. Always try to keep goals high. Don't give up,
Don't give
and
up.
and try to create your niche. I would again say, try to create your niche. Either you are in Pakistan, you are in India, you are in UAE, you are in Germany, or you are in US. Niche can be created anywhere in the world.
And we have an example that was given by you, that you did it even when your friends and family and the close ones are against it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and for our viewers, I'm sure you're going to love this chat with Mr. Khan. So please like and share this video, and also subscribe to Clickaway Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do, and you have more coming from industry legal leaders. This is Bharti for LexTalk signing off. Take care. Bye bye.